Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for the conclusion of all of our live events for World Refugee Day and for this special message from the Austin Refugee Roundtable. We just have a couple of housekeeping things today before we start. I wanted to remind everyone that this is a recorded session, and so we will be recording not only the video but also the chat. So if you do have any questions that come up along the way, please put them in the chat box or in the Q&A box. We may not be able to get to every question, but we want to be sure to follow up with answers, and so we will be sending out a follow-up email once we're finished. In addition to that, everything that you saw today, live events, will go back onto the austinrefugees.org website so that people are able to follow up and really share these really important discussions that we've been having today. After the conclusion today, you can also visit the austinrefugees.org website to find all of the streaming materials, all the downloading materials for World Refugee Day. We've got some really awesome cooking demonstrations, language lessons, really just exciting things to share. And we have a streaming of a film called Day One, a documentary that is followed up also by a panel discussion. And so both of those I would encourage you to check out later today. The film will also be available for a week. And so we want to be sure that if in your community, whether it's family or friends, whoever wants to see it, that they are able to. It's absolutely free. And so we encourage you to do that. I'll start today by just letting you know who our panelists are. We've got Russell Smith, who's the CEO at Refugee Services of Texas, and Simone Talma Flowers, the Executive Director at Interfaith Action of Central Texas. And so from there, I will let them take it away.
Thank you, Miranda. What an amazing day, World Refugee Day, June 20th, 2020. This is our 19th year of celebrating World Refugee Day. And we do this because we want to bring awareness to the plight of refugees. We want to celebrate the contributions refugees bring to whatever land they are in. And also the resiliency, the courage and determination refugees possess. Today, we got to listen to so many different voices about refugee stories, about the plight of refugees, about adjusting to new life in new homelands. And the important thing about today too is really saying thank you. Thank you for life, honoring life, and also about what are things that we can do to support refugees and to support families and to support ways that we don't have to have people flee their lands to avoid persecution. So today, I thank you for spending the time learning and being engaged. It's this work that we do is everyday work, and it requires us paying full attention to any kind of injustices that happen. And this is daily. It's my word for now has been, this is a lifestyle change where we all have to be really involved and really pay attention to everything that's happening all around us. I want to really say thank you to the Refugee Roundtable and all the organizations that are a part of this group, because they're working every day to see about how we can support refugees, how we can see about making sure the transition into this community is seamless. There is so much work to be done, so much support that is needed. And one thing too, and for you who are here, thank you for sharing your time and your passion and your willingness to support refugees. And for refugee families who are here, thank you for your courage and your resiliency. So And we'll talk some more, and Russell is going to talk some more about more numbers in regards to refugees. And then at the end, I'll come back in and talk a little bit more about what are some things that we can do. Russell.
Thank you so much, Simone. Yeah, and I want to echo the gratitude for everybody that has been involved in putting this together and attending. I have been with RST now right around 2 years, and actually it was even before I started. My very first thing I did was go to World Refugee Day a couple of years back, which really gave me kind of a really quick start into the amazing world that is refugee resettlement. And I can say I've been to all of the World Refugee Days since then. This is the first one, obviously virtual, and it really does help kind of fill my soul to be part of this, and to know that on this day there are people taking their oath of citizenship, and it's a lovely opportunity to celebrate the people that are getting a new start, as well as the people that are helping make that happen. So as Simone said, I'm the numbers guy, so I'm here to give you a few numbers and a few facts, and then I'll turn it back over. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of refugee resettlement. And things have changed over the last few years, right? But the importance of refugee resettlement has not. To start with some numbers, so in, say, the last dozen or so years, there have been 720,000 refugees resettled in the United States. During that time, almost exactly 10% of those, 72,000, were in the state of Texas. However, those numbers have been declining dramatically. The high was 85,000 people in 2016, all the way down to about 30,000 last year. And we are on track for probably less than half of even that very low number this year. A little, kind of drilling down to Austin. From here, I'll give you mostly kind of RST numbers, and mainly because there have been other resettlements. So Caritas did resettlement for many years. Because of the environment, they stopped resettling in the fall of 2018, and we hope that when things kind of ramp back up, that they will be able to ramp back up as well. But over the last dozen years, Refugee Services of Texas has welcomed almost 5,000 people in Austin. And as I said, we are now the only active resettlement agency in town. Our zenith, like the country's, was in 2016, when we helped resettle 2,400 people across the state. So we are in not only Austin, but in 6 sites around the state, from Dallas to Amarillo down to Harlingen in the Valley, and kind of all places in between. And so I'd like to talk a little bit about the benefits of refugee resettlement. Some of these are kind of myth dispelling, right? So refugees are very resilient people. They find jobs quickly, they learn English, they become hardworking contributors and models for American society. The resettlement of refugees has enjoyed strong bipartisan support from presidents and politicians and people of all political parties that have repeatedly affirmed the value of admitting refugees and how it reflects our core American values. This is truly an outlier, this period of time. Accepting refugees into our country is in our best diplomatic, national security, and economic interest. Other countries are inspired to do more. The foreign-born who assist our troops and intelligence services are kept safe. Those who have been persecuted get the opportunity to contribute to society and find kind of a new start. And America's interests are advanced globally. The very heart of our idealism and values is welcoming strangers, especially those who are most in need. This current divisive narrative in politics and the media is really in stark contrast from the reality on the ground. where Americans of all backgrounds, belief systems, and political leanings pitch in daily to welcome refugees into our neighborhoods. A few facts. Refugees pay more in taxes than they receive in social services. Sometimes you'll hear the wrong argument that they are a drain on our systems. On average, refugees pay $21,000 more in taxes than they receive in public assistance. Refugee and immigrants contribute dramatically to the economy of Texas. Texas thrives on a supply of young immigrant workers, and it really allows the state to maintain the strength of the workforce and our ability to grow. Refugees have the same share of adults with a bachelor's degree as US-born Texans. Refugees integrate into their communities very soon after arriving in America. They report significant increases in English fluency after 10 years in the US, or for many very, very quickly before that. Over 75% of refugees become citizens after 20 years in the US, or even earlier than that. Refugees own homes at roughly the national average and are employed at similar or higher rates than native-born Texans. Reports of low unemployment rates that are sometimes low employment rates that are sometimes thrown out there, often due to the fact that many of the refugees that we see are widows with children, individuals dealing with mental or physical health problems, or well-educated individuals attempting to obtain the proper credentials for a better life in the US. So those are just some of the facts out there about the amazing people that we are privileged to work with and for. I've also been asked to kind of touch on how you can take action and make sure your voice is heard. I think Miranda already talked about there's a downloadable packet for advocacy at austinrefugees.org. It will also show the Austin Refugee Roundtable partnering organizations. I believe the links will be provided in follow-up emails to everyone. I also invite you to join us for Texas Day of Action on June 24th. We're asking people to make phone calls to members of Congress in your area. You can also find that at austinrefugees.org, and write letters and emails to local and state reps. And for that, language scripts are provided on the Refugee Services of Texas website. And of course, vote. Be sure to register and be sure to vote. The voter registration deadline is October 5th for the upcoming November elections. I'd also throw in here, make sure that you respond to the census, because it's important for us to be able to have that representation. Again, thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this today, and I will turn it back to Simone.
Thank you, Russell. You know, the theme for this year's World Refugee Day is every action counts, right? And when we think about that, it kind of brings it back to us individually, and it tells us that we have to do something and that we can make a difference. You know, in this climate that we are living in right now, I mean, we have seen such horror in the past, well, at the end of May, when we saw the brutal killing of George Floyd, and how Black lives here in the US has not been valued as much. And when you think of refugees from across the world who are fleeing persecution because of religious, political, ethnic, you know, we cannot not look at what we are dealing with here in the US. And many refugees are Black people. And when you look at anti-Blackness that is across the world, we cannot not look at it. The refugees that we are working with are affected And it is in our power, and it is our moral obligation to do something about it. I would say the killing of George Floyd has awakened something in each one of us to realize that injustices are happening right here. And when you think of injustice, you're seeing that here it is. If someone's life can be so callously taken and there is no justice for them, that brings uprisings. And many refugees have been fleeing. I mean, that's why they're here. They are fleeing from similar treatment that they have endured. And so for us, it's reliving something that they have experienced. And they are seeing things here that we're experiencing that they fled from. So it is really critical for us to examine everything that we do, look at the organizations with which we work with, and see about what policies do we have in place that we are perpetuating racism. Institutionalized racism is insidious, and it takes us to look in our spheres of influence to see about what are things that we can do to dismantle the system. And it's so many concurrent things that have to happen at the same time, where, first of all, we need to stop killing people. Black people need to stop being killed, period. And what we also need to do is to examine us personally, individually, and see what are some anti-Blackness or anti-racist biases that we may have. And then the other piece is, how can we work collaboratively as a community to address some of these issues so that we can put a stop to this? Because again, this is something, we're dealing it with right here. And I think with the US, we have a great opportunity right now, because we are so shaken by what we have seen in recent times. And we have seen so many people come out to say, enough. We want justice for all. We want everyone to be able to have equal rights, to be able to live a life where we can fulfill our human potential. And why that's something that we want for everyone, and no matter where you're born. And so for us to put that reality in place, it's up to us to do something like now. Right now, we have to commit for a lifestyle change so that we can make some differences. Because it's about future generations. We don't want 50 years from now, we still having this conversation. We are at a pivotal time in history where we can make a difference. And and it all comes down to us valuing each other as human beings, valuing each other as being fully whole, as being able to contribute and make this world richer. So I invite you to look personally within you, look personally within your spheres of influence, your organization, your congregation, your university, your business, your social groups, and dig in as to why are you not open? Why is it not diverse? Dig into some deep questions, and it's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to be painful, but I want you to stay with it. And because we will have a happier ending and a more just ending, and it's going to be uncomfortable, but I want us to come with love and work as though you are fighting for your own relative. Because I feel that there is such urgency in us acting right now and making humongous changes. And the beauty of it is that what we change here, right here in the US, we change the entire world. So, so for this World Refugee Day, you make a difference. Every action you make makes a difference. So I just wanted to just share that message about the power of you.
Thank you both so much for giving us such good insight today to the world of refugee resettlement, how we can make a difference, how we can champion for every single refugee that comes not just to the United States, but to Texas, and specifically Central Texas, where we all serve. And so I want to, again, just thank you both for being here, and give you a chance also if there's anything else that you'd like to say before we close out the day. I think Simone ended it really well with just challenging each of us to look within ourselves and within our circle of influence to be better and to know how to use our voices and educate ourselves. So with that, I will thank all of you so much for being here in celebration of World Refugee Day. I will invite you to the austinrefugees.org website to check out all of the content that we've got on there that's downloadable and streaming, so you can continue the celebration at home safely, but then also be able to share with your family, with your friends, and really just make it the best celebration that you can. So with that, we'll say goodbye, and we will also, we'll follow up with an email to each of you as to how you can get involved and answer a few of the questions that also came through that we didn't necessarily have time to answer. But thank you all, and we will hopefully see you in person again next year.